Nityanandam Paramasukadam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dvandvatitam Gaganasadrisham Tattvamasyaadilaksham Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadi Sakshi Bhutam Bhavatitam Trigunarahitam Sadgurum Tam Namami. Nithyanandam, and welcome everyone this beautiful Saturday night for a very special Hindu think tank that we have. All the participants, Nithyanandam, and welcome. Today's panel discussion addresses a question that many Hindus feel deeply but few articulate clearly. Why are organizations not enough? And why does Sanatana Hindu Dharma require something far more fundamental, a Hindu nation? For decades, Hindus have relied on NGOs, trusts, religious organizations, cultural forums. Yet, despite thousands of such bodies worldwide, we continue to witness temples taken over or controlled, Hindu voices silenced or criminalized, gurus, monks, and spiritual leaders persecuted, Hindu knowledge diluted, appropriated, or erased. Hindu children growing up disconnected from their civilizational roots. This reveals a hard truth. Organizations can manage activities, but they cannot protect a civilization. Organizations can run programs, but they cannot safeguard Dharma. Sanatana Hindu Dharma is not merely a religion. It is a civilization, a way of life, a knowledge ecosystem, and a living spiritual science. And civilizations are not sustained by organizations alone. They require sovereignty, civilizational authority, and dharmic governance. This brings us to the core of today's discussion: the limitations of organizations and the necessity of a Hindu nation, and the urgent need to protect and revive Sanatana Hindu Dharma. At this critical juncture in history, one spiritual leader did not stop at diagnosis. While many spoke about problems, while many debated ideas, one enlightened master, who is an incarnation of Bhagavan Paramashivam, he took the responsibility. He did not ask whether a nation was possible. He demonstrated that it is possible. He did not attempt to reform a broken system. He revived an entire civilizational framework. That contribution comes from the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Bhagavan Nithyananda Paramashivam, and the revival of the sovereign state of Kailasa. Today, our distinguished panelists bring deep understanding of Hindu civilizational history, ground-level experience with organizational limitations, first-hand engagement with persecution, policy, culture, and spirituality, and direct exposure to the vision and functioning of Kailasa. They are not here merely to discuss theory, but to analyze the reality and to present lived solutions. I now invite our panelists to share insights on why organizations alone repeatedly fail Hindus, why sovereignty is non-negotiable for Dharma, and how Kailasa represents a civilizational revival an enlightened civilizational revival, not an ideology. So today, I'm proud to introduce the panelist, the Member of Parliaments of the United States of Kailasa, the Rajya Sabha members, Ma Paramasukudayani from Kailasa, Malaysia, Ma Jayanti Kanagaratnam from Kailasa, Malaysia, Ma Nitya Mahapurnananda from Kailasa, Malaysia, and Ma Nityastananda from Kailasa, Malaysia, giving their voices to what and why a Hindu nation is a necessity, an urgent necessity, and why an organization alone is not enough. So I welcome the panelists to please introduce yourself and please go on with your points.
Nithyananda,
Yes.
Nithyananda, my name is Ma Paramasugadaini. I'm representing Rajya Sabha of Kailasa, Malaysia. Nithyananda, everyone, welcome and thank you for your time to join our think tank forum. Why we need a nation, called for nation, not for organization. Thank you, Ma.
Yes, if I may request Ma Paramasukadaini, you have been a devotee, a disciple of Bhagavan Nithyananda Paramashivam, and has taken the responsibility to be the member of parliament of Kailasa and representing Kailasa, Malaysia, taking the responsibilities in revival of Hinduism in Malaysia. So I request you, Ma, today, what is that you would like to share in your experience that you have seen with the organizational limitations that you personally experience in Malaysia, and of course, being a Rajya Sabha member of Kailasa, you have witnessed how Hinduism how Kailasa and Bhagavan Nithyananda Paramashivam has taken the responsibility, not in just talks, but he has made it happen. Can you please share your experience?
Yeah, sure, Ma. Thank you. So I would like to more emphasize on the economic why for the why we need nation, because my background is more to economic apart from the other main important point, like Bhagavan said, we need a nation. So first of all, we will say organization is just a mission that we can say, but nation is a living organization that perform from multiple unit of or unit function. As it name itself, organization is limited to the function where it been created. But country or nation, no, it contains of many more function more than the organization that can do. So, as a economic point wise, a nation manifests ecological form, the inner connection living system that every economic come together as a whole body, that how the nation works. But organization, we can doubt about it, because it is based on the certain agenda or mission or vision that it been created. The problem that most of the Hindu organization that we can see, it is reductional. Okay, it means it turned into the bureaucratic terms, and it is based on the one person's or one agenda's vision, but it doesn't carry out or voice out as a collective dharmic way economical system. But in nation, especially as a Hindu nation, it will be collectively based on the Hindu dharmic way of economical. So a complete mindset of a group that running the organization is most important. If the nation, definitely we will be following the dharma way of the mindset that we will have, especially the very important point that we need here is consciousness. where we couldn't find that, I doubt that we can find in a organization. But in a nation, the main point that Hinduism that will focus is the consciousness. When we have the consciousness, we can achieve more in a dharmic way, economical. So example that I would like to emphasize, a very simple example is the earth. We call it Bhumi, Mother. We call it's we worship as a um, ma- um, mother. Okay, but in an organization, in other way of dharmic, it is just a land, it is a resources, it's a money. But in a Hindu dharmic or as a nation, we worship them. We find it is a equivalent right that we have everybody. It is not the resources that we be fighting by boundaries that it belongs to me, it belongs to them. But it's a mother nature that belongs to everybody. We respect, we flourish them, we keep it alive for the next generation. So we call it Bhuma Devi itself. The name is Bhuma Devi itself. So these are the one of the example that I can bring it up, that I can emphasize mainly. And for sure, like organization, we will have the secularism terms of economic principle that we apply. Example, communism, all kind of secular thing, economical terms that we will be using it to operate certain organization. But if you have a nation, especially Hindu nation, the only principle, the only name that we will give is Dharma. So everybody knows when we protect the Dharma protects us. So, but in organization that based on only one individual, one mission or one vision, that definitely dharma will be questioned, that could be brought up to bring various level need of economical. So this is the one of the point that I would bring out based on my background, that economical background that I come from, and my strong point is economical wise, because everybody here is fighting for each of something, the wealth, grabbing. So if we can avoid this, that is why we need a nation to avoid all this, to have a very peaceful mind and conscious nation. Definitely, we need the Hindu nation that only can do this. Nityanandam, thank you, Ma. Nityanandama, thank you. I would like to stop my point here, Ma.
Thank you, Ma Paramasukadaini. You brought a very important point here. How we treat everything. Everything is consciousness. Everything is divine, including Mother Nature. You know, everything is seen as divinity. The whole context is not in grabbing, but sharing, reviving, enriching. And that is what Bhagavan Nithyananda Paramashivam has taught us and has already implemented this in the United States of Kailasa. Even in organization, even if they want to implement, it is a minuscule. I mean, we already, everyone knows and ready to claim, share that Sanatana Hindu Dharma is an ocean, is an ocean, and in that, an organization is a tiny drop. How a tiny drop can revive or protect or preserve and keep Sanatana Hindu Dharma alive? It is impossible. I mean, clearly we can see that, right? Now I invite our next panelist, Ma Jayanti Kanagaratnam. Please share your inputs to this.
Thank you, Manikya Prematma. And thank you so much for giving me this blessed opportunity to share in this sacred background about about the importance of a Hindu nation. So actually, I would like to raise the matter about why organizations, they always fall. Every organization, Eventually, they succumb to rules over wisdom, hierarchy over authenticity, procedures over transformation, maintenance over evolution. When people rely on organizations, they outsource their spiritual responsibility, whereby the ultimate dharma violation. Why organizations always fall? Universities, they can store knowledge, but cannot awaken intelligence. Libraries can preserve manuscripts, but cannot transmit enlightenment. Temples can house deities, but cannot make you experience divinity. Nations preserve the complete Sanatana Dharma Hindu civilization, arts, sciences, medicine, architecture, spirituality. Kailasa comprehensively safeguards the full spectrum of Hindu civilization via the Nithyananda Hindu University, which is the world's largest with campuses in 150 countries, which revives 20 million source books, 64 sacred arts. Example in Ayurveda, music, dance, sculpting, astrology, vastu, and temple-based architecture. Initiatives like organic goshalas, cow shelters, anna mandirs, which are food banks, and yogalayas, which are the yoga centers, integrate medicine and spirituality, while libraries, which are known as jnanalayas, time capsule, palm leaf manuscripts, countering cultural erosion. Organizations can only preserve the structures, but only consciousness can preserve consciousness. And Kailasa is a living consciousness ecosystem. Kailasa's consciousness-based model is a consciousness infrastructure. Nithyananda Hindu University, it is not just an education, but it is consciousness transmission. The Jnanalayas is not just libraries, but they are living wisdom centers. Anna Mandirs, Goshalas, they are not just animal shelters, but the living embodiments of compassion. Organizations are just the tools, but Kailasa provides the tools, but the real work happens when you stop seeing yourself as separate from the civilization, when you become the living preservation of Dharma through your being, where you stop waiting for the organizations to do what consciousness must do. And this is my sharing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mom. See, one of the problems that we are facing, right, even when reviving an education system or goshalas, the Hindu way of lifestyle, unless we have a protection mechanism, we are always in danger. I mean, that we have seen historically from where we were, from 56 Hindu nations, up until Kailasa was revived by the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. There was not a single Hindu nation for the 2 billion Hindu diaspora that lives in the world today. Nepal was the last Hindu nation, and after that, the 2 billion Hindus became homeless. Can you imagine the level of persecution that we have gone through, the Hindu Holocaust, that was hidden from our own history? Whether it is education system, whether it is our lifestyle, our food, we can see nowhere in the world, it is all diluted. Nowhere we have the freedom to practice and live it peacefully, authentically. Our education system was delegitimized. Our whole lifestyle was delegitimized. In this, the legitimacy, the political legitimacy is very important This is why the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, knowing that without the political legitimacy, which is the fort to protect us, to protect our culture, protect our even our organizations, we can see everywhere in the world, even our own Hindu organizations are in danger. They are governed by anti-Hindu governments. So you are under the control of various law to which you need to obey and try to survive there. It is not thriving, it is just surviving. So given this, the level of persecution that Hindus are going through with or without organization, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, knowing that without a fort, we cannot even survive, is why the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism has revived Kailasa. Now I invite our panelist, Manifestananda. Please share your thoughts of why it is important to have our own political legitimacy, why a Hindu nation is not a fantasy, is not a luxury, but a must need, an urgent need to keep Sanatana Hindu Dharma alive.
Thank you so much for inviting. My name is Manifestananda, and I'm a sannyasi of Nithyananda order. So I would like to elaborate on this topic and about my point is the protection from the assimilation and erosion. I will give an example like from the facts we have like the issues like temple demolitions, relocations, challenges in religious education. So many schools, like even in the local context where I am, you can see that schools being facing resource constraints where they shut down the schools and the government directly get involved. And in this case, for a local organization, which they can only fight each fire. Like individually, they can only fight as an organization. But if there is a sovereign nation, the sovereign nation can actually act as a global guarantor and a reference point for this rights to dharma. So it's much like how, an example like how the Muslim majority nations advocate for Muslims worldwide. It provides a civilizational anchor no Malaysian NGO can. So this is what I would like to bring out, the point which is about how much limitation an organization has compared to the sovereign nation.
Yeah, I just would like to add the point that you say it's not limitation. Do we manage to find a solution for that? No, right? I guess by fighting individually,
Yes.
representing organization, I think we still fighting with new cases, new scenario, but the total solution is still question mark.
Yes, there is no solution actually. You're right, Ma. Yeah, there is no solution because each organization fights individually, standing up for themselves, but they are not able to come together as the root of the whole Hinduism. It's not mentioned. It's not used for this purpose. So what I would like to say is, so the Dharma is systemic in this position, where the local NGOs battle symptoms, a demolished temple, a struggling school. The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism teaches that these are manifestations of a systemic declining in the consciousness. Organizing only treats symptoms. A dharmic nation addresses the root cause, the lack of sovereign base for pure Vedic knowledge, according to the Vedas and Agamas. So this is what my point is. Thank you very much.
Yes, Ma, that is a very important point, actually. And again, we can see the organizations themselves are under threat. When historically we have seen, and even today, we see our temples either taken over or demolished. Our education systems, just banned, just delegitimized. So many living examples we can see where it becomes a struggle. I mean, you can see in the case of the Ayyappa temple to be, the certain way of worship, the certain way of practice, whether women are allowed or not. That is the enlightenment ecosystem that was meant for men, and where women are in their menstrual cycle or not to come to the temple. That is the enlightenment ecosystem. This is how our Vedas have created, our Hindu civilization has created an enlightened ecosystem for a specific purpose. This is not something to be decided by a non-Hindu government. But we saw that. It is just one example. Recently, we saw the attack and the exaggeration and the media hype on Dharmasthala. We can go on of the n number of incidents, n number of cases where we are struggling to survive, to keep our traditions alive, to keep our practices alive, to keep our culture alive. If we want to, there a simple example of wanting to celebrate Deepavali. You need a government permission to even, can I have crackers? Can I do at this time? Whether I worship cow? It is mocked. It is made fun of. We can see that everywhere, every simple level, the encroachment happens. And we are, how the government, which is not Hindu, gets to decide. The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism always says, Hinduism is a temple-based, temple-run government. But however, we can see nowadays, now it is a government-run temples, which means the wealth of the temples are looted. The wealth of the temple is taken to support other religious faiths, Hajj, Yatra, and other organizations' purpose. It is not used for Hindus. Our own priests who are working in the temples don't get paid enough. We can see this in an economy, in a country where Hinduism is not the state religion. This is just one or few examples of the millions of things that we have seen or go through in our day-to-day life, where Hindus really do not have a right. We may be a majority in population in some countries, but does not mean we have the right.
Nithyananda Ma,
So why do we need a Hindu? Yes.
I would like to add the point in Malaysia's according to the survey that I just took from Google. As of a mid of 2024, we have 95,000 NGO registered. So with this number, are we stop the temple demolition in Malaysia? The fighting for the conversion of religions is being stopped? That's what I like to add your point. Sorry to interrupt, Ma. You can.
Yes, Ma. Definitely, we can see the incentives that are given for conversion, and our own daughters, sisters being kidnapped. There is an end to this. Why do we need a Hindu nation? This question, there is no room for this question itself. But the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism explains why. Let us now watch this video from sharing where Bhagavan Nithyananda Paramashivam has shared why do we need a Hindu nation to protect our fundamental right. I request to please share this video.
Why do we need a Hindu nation?
Paramashiva to manifest and gift everything to planet Earth needs not just religious freedom, political freedom too. Because the whole earth is suffocated by unconscious politicians, can never grasp the ultimate truth, can never cooperate for the Paramashiva's mission. That is the reason Paramashiva needs Hindu nation.
Yes. We will now continue to watch as the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism explains the necessity further of the urgent need for a Hindu nation.
Why we need a Hindu nation? That question need to be addressed. Because the Hindu civilization is good, it need to be kept alive, we need a Hindu nation. But the civilization is getting destroyed in extremely alarming speed. Hindus are neither ready to wake up, and anyone who is even trying to wake up the Hindus is targeted and destroyed brutally. Fortunately, with the grace of Paramashiva, I am still alive. I am not killed. I did not fall. But the number of attempts on my life and the lawfare done on me and the defamation, destroying my identity, all this is enormous. If you see the volume of atrocity material generated on me in the internet, you will be shocked. Listen carefully. I want Hindus to know this truth. Understand? The target of anti-Hindu elements is not me, you. Because I am defending all of you, I am being targeted. Listen. Wake up to that. Oh Hindus, the target of anti-Hindu elements is not me, you. Because I am defending you, protecting you, they are targeting me. Wake up to this truth. Let me reveal some of these truths step by step. First, India has two layers. Civilizational nation, territorial nation. The threats territory is facing, all of you know. But the threats civilizational nation is facing, unsaid. Even the Hindus are not waking up to this truth. The threat Hindu civilizational nation is facing, even Hindus strongly believe caste system is wrong. Oh God. Hey, this is the system which made you live, which is your life, which is still keeping you alive, the only existing ancient civilization. There are 49 ancient civilizations. All 48 has disappeared. The only living continuous, only continuously living unbroken civilization is Hindu civilization. The reason, one and only reason, is caste system. Kula talchi uyarchi sollal pavam. That line I agree. There is no higher or lower among the castes. That I agree. But don't try to dismantle the very caste system. The caste system kept this civilization alive. Deity worship kept the civilization alive. Temples kept the civilization alive.
The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism brought a very, very, like he has pointed out that anyone who tries to revive Hinduism is attacked. We can see not only in the history, just in the recent decades, any guru, any spiritual leader, any Hindu spiritual leader that works to revive Hinduism is either murdered or falsely framed and arrested and then murdered in the jail. There are tons of examples that we can see, and even those who are still suffering in the prison with these false accusations. And the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism himself has faced more than 120 false cases without a single evidence. The persecution, more than 100 murder attempts, and all the media fare. For years, we can see, even as the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism mentioned, if we just Google to see, you would see the atrocity material that has been dumped, that has been generated to delegitimize the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. This level of attacks, the anti-Hindu sentiment, and actually even recently, I think it was last year, one of the politicians says that Hindus should be eradicated like dengue and malaria. This is the environment that we are in. Hindus need to wake up that unless we have a nation, which is our own fort, we are not safe. Kailasa is the safe haven for the Hindus, wherever you are, the only protection for the Hindus. We think we are living Hinduism. We may go to temple, just silently do our puja and come back. But is that our right? In Bangladesh, we can see even that to celebrate Durga Puja, they don't have freedom. Right now, we are thinking, oh, this is happening in Bangladesh. It is not in my country. It is not too far. We have lost all our fundamental rights. I remember growing up, when I studied in a convent school, obviously, they do not want me to wear kumkum. They do not want me to wear vibhuti, let alone flowers on the hair, which is my tradition, which is my culture. But I was not allowed to be Hindu. I was not allowed to wear my own Hindu symbols. This is the state of Hinduism and under serious threat. The Hindus really need to wake up that unless we do something, there is no future. But of course, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, despite the attacks that he has been through, he has very, very peacefully revived the Kailasa, the first nation for Hindus and the only nation, which is the safe haven for all of the Hindu diaspora around the world. Now I invite our next panelist, Ma Mahapurnananda, to share your thoughts of the need for a Hindu nation. Why is an organization alone is not enough, and why do we nation?
Thank you, Monica. Then everyone, I'm Ma Mahabharananda, and I'm the Paksayan under the Kailasa sanghas order. So I'm very honored that as I'm grateful that I have invited to this discussions. So I'm representing the youth in Malaysia, especially for the Hindus, because I'm from East Malaysia. I'm born from East Malaysia. Some also have some indigenous DNA here. So if some ethnic group So I know this how like actually ethnic kids in other schools like public school, how they treat it, like because like for them it's like not like majority one. So actually, so I can know what the Malaysian Hindu youth actually experience because I also have some Malaysian youths, Hindu youths together and sharing our childhoods, like what experience in school. So actually I also have studied from I have saw a lot of news study research from public paper. So according to the landmark 2001 study by youth movement addressing that uh, identity-based discrimination revealed by that almost 87% of Malaysian Indian children actually they experience the race-based discrimination in school. This is actually I have data and you can check online like you have this all data statistics you can search online. This is 87% is the highest rate among the ethnic groups. So Indian children is facing this in school. You can nowadays you can see every like everyday news. You can see like Indians children's they like Ma also pointing out the point like the children get in jail everything like in prisons. But actually some nobody like really to understand them what happening to them. That's like as a youth also like we really want our parents to understand us why we have this behavior, but nobody really care about us because they just like be by the society they think that have the standard lives. Hey, you have to be a good student, you have to like score A in examinations, and you have to be like behave like everything like as usual student, everyone standardized, have to be like same one. But when you like you have your personality unique things, you become you are the awkward in the society. So actually I like another um uh, research which means that the Pusat Commerce 2004 the racist report, right, further documents incidents in education such as discrimination, dress code enforcement. Some like also like sometimes we like maybe like traditions code, but according to the organizations or government law, they not allow us to wear it. We have to be like no. Yes, about this one. So this is the point that I want to pointing out that Malaysian Hindu youth actually facing the racism in school is very serious issue, and why the organizations cannot like it's not enough, but why nations very important to us, because organization always just negotiate with the government. You can have like maybe some um, have to follow certain things, but the nations declare the sovereignty. When an organization asks for right, it's like begging because I have like I to submit approval and then like it's like begging. But when a nation declare rights, right, it's an established reality. So Kailasa doesn't ask to stop the discrimination, but we create a space where the discriminations cannot exist. So this is why Kailasa Nation actually can provide a freedom ecosystem, especially then the me, Guru. Kailasa Nation have the Gurukul. In Gurukul, everyone can do everything in interest. Everything is no non-durable. No one to judge you. You can according to what we interest, we can like do everything we want, no judging. It's not unless like other school like or what my experience like I'm good in arts because I love art, music, drawing, everything, designing. But according to the society, like, the school examination, I always like fail all the other subject, always fail all the subject. But I feel like at some moment, I feel like I'm so like a failure, because everybody's even my parents say, oh, why you didn't get a good result? So you didn't get a good result, cannot find job. This kind of thing. I was like, because I really when you're doing something your interest, right, you have like so have the fulfillment. Yes, I also realized that a lot of Hindus youth, right, they also very creative one. They have good in art or very something, but they still also facing this problem. No, when we're doing something we like, but the parents or the misunderstanding or what, they think that we are just like lazy or what, not doing uh like uh doing homework or what something. So in Gurukul, you can like so many arts you can study, you can just play around, and this is someone you say, oh, it's okay, just play around. You have this, you're right. This you're right. So this is what Khalasa nation can giving to the Hindu youth to give them to one freedom ecosystem, right? To do whatever they like. At least they know what they are unique. So this is the point that I really want to point out as a youth side. Okay, thank you so much, Jendon.
Yeah, Dharma, I think in Hinduism we have 64 Kalaigal, right? So each of
Yes,
us is have the passionate and have the talented out of this 64 that we need to bring out. We have, that's what the society or a good organization should do to the youth. But I think it's something lacking, although we have 94,000 registered NGO in Malaysia. But this is the only nation that recognize all the 64 Kalaigal, I mean arts and Hindus thing. Yeah, it's very nice.
yes, exactly. And I
Yes, thank you,
remember,
Ma.
yes,
Go
I
ahead,
just
please.
yes, thank you, ma'am. So I still remember Swamiji ever revealed that examination is nothing. Yeah. So and this one point I just want. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ma. Actually, there are several points that I wanted to address bit on what you have shared. So beautiful, actually. See, in Hinduism, the first introduction who we are is we are Paramashiva. We are not slaves. We are not sinners. We are Paramashiva. This is the introduction. I mean, here, come on, there stops. The introduction to us, who we are itself, is different. It is like if you have a beautiful tulsi plant, a very tiny plant, and you go plant it in the middle of a heavy traffic, heavy polluted road. Will it survive? Of course not. And that's the kind of environment Hindus are in, and that's the kind of environment Hinduism is in. And this is why, if we do not take action, Hinduism cannot even survive. We can still live in the fantasy that Sanatana Hindu Dharma can never be erased. No. Look at the history. 56 Hindu nations, the richest economy in the world, where we are today, what we go through today. 2 billion Hindus. This is something that I still cannot digest. 2 billion Hindus, 1/4 of the world population. Yet Hindus are deluded that we don't need a Hindu nation. Come on. It is time that we wake up. And that, unless we do, it is not our neighbor's house that is on fire. If we don't do something, it's going to be our house. The time to wake up is now. And this is why the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Bhagavan Nithyananda Paramashivam, the living incarnation of Paramashiva himself, has landed to revive, protect the Hinduism, And the services that he offers is not just for Hindus, it is for the entire humanity. The need for Hindu nation is not just for Hindus, it is for the entire world. We can see where the world is today, either with the world war or the rising ocean level, the climate changes, the effects, the COVID, the other diseases. It is going uncontrollable. So the need for Hindu nation is not just for Hindus, but it's for the entire planet Earth to bring it to order. And that is what Kailasa is doing. Now, as we are talking about Kailasa, I mean, literally, we have scratched the surface. There are n number of problems, not even n, millions of problems, millions of issues that Hindus face, Hinduism face. Hinduism has been, destroyed, demolished, almost on the verge of extinction. There are animals which are close to extinction. That is how Hinduism was. Till Bhagavan Nithyananda Paramashivam has taken it upon himself, despite the persecution that he has gone through, he has peacefully revived Kailasa Hindu nation. Now, Kailasa is not a fantasy. Still people wonder, where is Kailasa? Is that a fantasy? Is that a fiction? No, it is not. It is real. It is a real sovereign nation. Kailasa exists. And not only Kailasa exists, Bhagavan Nithyananda Paramashivam, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, has taken the level of persecution that Hindus have gone through, are going through, to the United Nations, represented for the first time in the United Nations the plight that we are going through. And not only that, he has gotten the recognition, our only Hindu state, the recognition from the United Nations, and established multiple relations, diplomatic relations with several countries and United States of Kailasa. Not only we are thriving, Kailasa and the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism has taken the responsibility of the indigenous communities, traditions around the world, preserving them, protecting them, and giving them the recognition. So I would like to share yet another video of the legitimacy, the sovereignty, the statehood of Kailasa.
Around 5,000 years ago, at the end of Mahabharat War, the ancient enlightened Hindu civilization consisted of 10,000 Hindu traditions, or sampradayas, that existed in 56 Hindu nations, 200 Hindu kingdoms, 1,700 Hindu provinces that covered more than 6 million kilometers square of Asia. The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, SPH, Bhagavan Sri Nithyananda Paramashivam, is the reviver of Kailasa, this ancient enlightened Hindu civilizational nation. Kailasa is an unbroken cultural, religious, historical, civilizational, and sovereign continuation and revival of multiple of these historical Hindu sovereign states and Hindu ecclesiastical entities. The unbroken continuity of these ancient Hindu nations through Kailasa results in the legal recognition of Kailasa as per the international customary law, particularly the doctrine of continuity. The international law, the doctrine of continuity, implies that upheavals and revolutions within a country, changes in government, territorial adjustments, measures taken during military occupation, or other internal transformations do not negate the existence of the country, do not affect the legal personality and international obligations of the country or state. The Vienna Convention on Succession of States in respect of treaties, 1978, addresses these principles of the doctrine of continuity as it outlines international law during situation of state succession or continuation. International law recognizes a state's legal personality by recognizing its identity. This perspective extends even during the period when the given state or country is annexed or occupied by a foreign power. Even in such cases, the legal personality of the state is considered to persist, enabling its subsequent re-establishment. Historical examples dating back to the 18th century include cases like Portugal and Genoa that were re-established after the Vienna Congress of 1815. More recent examples include countries such as Poland, Ethiopia, Czechoslovakia, Albania, and Austria that were re-established after World War II. Even when a nation is deprived of its territory, the nation continues to exist. Its sovereignty and international legal personality continues to persist. The Dalai Lama, as the spiritual and temporal leader of Tibet, exemplifies this principle. In 1959, the Dalai Lama was exiled and forced to flee. Despite the challenges faced, the Dalai Lama continues to advocate for the preservation of Tibetan culture and garners worldwide support for Tibetan autonomy on the global stage. Similarly, from 1309 to 1376, the Pope of Catholicism had been in exile in Avignon. Despite this, he was recognized as the head of state as well as head of the church and given full privileges of the position after their return to Rome. Even in 1861, much of the papal territories had been lost, leaving the Pope with no sovereign territory other than the papal residence and related buildings. Yet his temporal powers were still acknowledged. He was recognized as a head of state, and later, the Lateran Treaty of 1929 formally re-established papal sovereignty over the Vatican City. The Sovereign Order of Malta further exemplifies this principle, retaining international recognition as a sovereign entity despite the permanent loss of their territory upon Napoleon's invasion in June 1798. Despite such permanent loss of territory, the sovereignty and the international legal personality of the Sovereign Order of Malta continue to persist. Much later in 1894, the order settled in Rome and acquired two properties, the Magistral Palace and the Magistral Villa that received extraterritorial status. Today, the order maintains diplomatic relations with 112 countries, issues its own diplomatic passports, currency stamps, and vehicle registration plates, and has been granted observer status in the United Nations. All these examples of state re-establishment illustrate the principle of continuity of states, as per international law, that a state's legal personality persists over time. A nation continues to exist even after a complete loss of territory. A far more striking example is of the oceanic countries, which are under the threat of their entire nation being drowned and submerged due to rising sea levels owing to global warming. In response to such existential threat of climate change, Pacific Island nations, including Tuvalu, have enacted constitutional amendments and made international declarations affirming that their nation and their sovereign rights will continue to persist, despite their entire territory being lost to the sea. This proactive stance is highlighted in the Constitution of Tuvalu Act 2023 and the Pacific Islands Forum Declaration of 2021. The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Bhagavan Sri Nithyananda Paramashivam, through the line of succession, is the present 203rd Emperor of the Hindu Sovereign Kingdom of Surangi Samrajya. He was crowned on the 31st of December 2004 at the age of 26. Thus, by very same principles of the doctrine of continuity, through which the international legal personality of Portugal, Genoa, Poland, Ethiopia, Czechoslovakia, Albania, Austria, Vatican, Tibet, Sovereign Order of Malta, and several other nations has been recognized despite having undergone a period of exile, annexation, occupation by a foreign power, or despite loss of territory. The SPH Nithyananda Paramashivam, through well-established legal and historical facts about the Hindu sovereign state of the Surangi Samrajyam, derives all sovereign rights and powers of the royal lineage of the Surangi Samrajyam as its 203rd sovereign emperor from his inheritance and continuation of the unbroken succession of the kingdom of Surya Vamsa Surangi Samrajyam Sarvanapitha. Surya Vamsa Surangi Samrajyam, through unification with 20 other sovereign Hindu states and sovereign ecclesiastical, historical entities, became part of the United States of Kailasa, which thus became a sovereign, independent juridical state, with the SPH Nithyananda Paramashivam as the sovereign. Just as how the oceanic nations like Tuvalu have safeguarded their sovereignty from the existential threat of total submersion by amending their constitution and asserting that their sovereignty will persist regardless of the loss of their territory, Kailasa, which is a sovereign continuation of 21 sovereign Hindu states and sovereign ecclesiastical historical entities, is also reviving and continuing the Kumari Kandam Hindu nations that got submerged. As per the doctrine of continuity, these facts imply that the Kailasas statehood is recognized by international law and manifests as a natural outcome of well-established historical legal facts. Become part of this revival of the Hindu nation. Share your time, talent, and treasure to Kailasa, the world's first nations for Hindus. Sign up as a citizen.
a unique pain relief solution.
Yes. So today we had a very beautiful discussion. But like we said, we just scratched the surface. We can't even call it a tip of the iceberg. It is much minuscule than that. The necessity for Hinduism is like a burning house. You need to run out. That's the kind of danger that we are in. We need to wake up to it. And today we had many viewers join us to attend this discussion. So I thank Ma Rajeshwari, Ma and Kailash Ramagori, and Surya Narayanan, and also the viewers from YouTube, TARDIS. Thank you so much all for joining us today. We had a very little time, I would say, to bring out the real issues, but we tried to cover as much as possible in the limited time. And I thank our panelists, Ma Paramasukadaini, Ma Jayanti Kanagaratnam, Ma Nityastananda, Ma Mahapurnananda, to join in this very important discussion, the need of the hour. And if you are wondering how to become part of Kailasa, you can become an e-citizen by registering at the kailasa.ecitizen.info. Or if you want to become a citizen and move into Kailasa, I welcome you all to attend the Paramashiva Sena program that is offered. And presently, this program is happening in Los Angeles and Tiruvannamalai. You can register at ecitizen.info/PSS. If you'd like to support, contribute to Kailasa, please do reach out to any one of us, and you can always sign up to become a citizen of Kailasa. And I thank all the panelists today for joining us, and the guests that have come here, Chia Aya, Ma Shobha, Ma Aruna Shivamai, Ma Kala, and everyone for joining us today, and of course Matri Jnana, and we hope to see you soon, yet another topic in this Hindu think tank. Thank you all. Nithyananda. It is now closed with the Purna Mantra. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Sarvam Bhagavan Sri Nithyananda Paramashiva Padukarpanamastu. Om Nithyanandam